Tonight, we begin a new series called Retirement Ready. For millions of Americans, having enough money in savings is one of the biggest challenges.
For the first time since the 1940s, Americans are reaching retirement in worse financial shape than their parents.
The vast majority of Americans have under $1,000 in savings, and by some estimates, half of all Americans have nothing put away at all for retirement.
If you have access to a 401k or traditional pension in your job, consider yourself to be lucky. Nearly 57 million Americans work for an employer that does not offer a retirement savings plan.
Guys, in this one, we're going to be taking a look at retirement plans. And as usual, retirement plans do have its pros and its cons. Now, when it comes to pros, a retirement plan will definitely assist you when it comes to maintaining your lifestyle after working. But when we look at cons, we're talking about early withdrawal, penalties on early withdrawal. Now, again, guys, come for the complaints, but please do expect different perspectives. As usual, this one is going to be a good one. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Guys, my name is Andre, and as usual, if you're stopping by for the first time, please consider subscribing. And while you're at it, just go ahead and smash that like button. I would really appreciate it. Also, remember to hit that post notification bell so that you will be notified whenever I upload a new video.
So many comments in my last video saying that I'm contributing way too much to my 401k. Like, I'm saving too much for retirement. And I get it, like 401ks don't have the best options, or like sometimes the fees are higher, but I'm already maxing out my Roth IRA. In fact, I already maxed it out for 2022. So I would obviously rather put the extra money into an account with a tax advantage rather than just like a brokerage account. I also talk about this on my page all the time. I don't want to work in corporate America for the rest of my life. So I'm obviously putting as much money into a 401k as I can while I'm still able to.
You see a lot of gurus on social media today calling a 401k a scam, and I don't necessarily agree with this. And I get where they're coming from. There's all sorts of restrictions on when you can pull your money out. There's all sorts of fees, and we don't know how the tax code is going to look like 20 to 30 years from now. Sure, if we keep the current tax code, having a 401k might benefit you, but in 20, 30 years, taxes might increase. Not to mention, if there's inflation, it's going to decrease your spending by an average of 3% per year. Now, with all that being said, I still think it's good to invest in a 401k, especially if you get a company match. So for every dollar that I put in, my employer is going to put in $1 as well, which is a 100% return on my money. A lot of what I see is most individuals are relying on Social Security and their retirement accounts by the time they hit retirement age. Whereas how I view my 401k and my Roth IRA and my Social Security is, it's just a small part of my entire retirement plan. I have crypto, I have real estate, I have my long-term stock brokerage that I use to generate me income. And I want to retire when I'm young. I don't want to work a 9-to-5 job until I'm 65 years old. So yes, invest in your Roth IRA, invest in your 401k to ensure that by the time you're old, you have money to use, but you should be actively seeking to invest outside of your retirement accounts. That way you have a little bit of control of your money, you have cash flow, and you can potentially retire early.
One of the messages I've seen getting more and more popular on TikTok is that you don't need to save for retirement because the world's going to be up in flames by the time we get there. Now, I'm obviously no environmental scientist, but I think it's a bit dramatic to say that we will all just be fully extinct in the next 50 years. While I don't know what the world's going to look like in 50 years, I know damn well the government's still not going to step in and save us if we don't save for retirement. Because I also could get in a fatal car crash tomorrow and all of my retirement funds would be for nothing, but I still want them there in case that doesn't happen. And there's obviously a difference between people who cannot save, they do not have the finances to save, and people who could and choose not to. I just think it's a little funny how some Gen Zers and millennials will call out our parents for believing like the worst Photoshop thing we've ever seen on Facebook. But then we'll turn around and be like, oh no, I don't need to save for retirement because the world's going to actually end. I just hate the idea of we get 40, 50 years down the line and people are dying because they're homeless and they can't afford healthcare, and it's all because someone told them at the age of 20 that they didn't need to save. So please, if your employer offers a retirement match, please match that. It's free money. Please, please, please take advantage of that.
Let's talk about why you should sign up for that 401k your employer keeps offering you. Hi, I'm Maria, and I talk through the financial topics they don't teach us in school. Before I tell you why you should contribute, let's start with a little background. 401ks are retirement plans that are essentially replacing pensions. It was the 1978 Revenue Act that made 401ks and 403bs more profitable and less burdensome for employers than pensions. By 2020, most employers who offered retirement benefits offered defined contribution plans. So why sign up for these plans? Number one is that you are saving for retirement and you are building wealth. Number two is that if your employer offers a match, then you are getting free money for retirement from your employer when you contribute. Number three is that you can take those savings with you after you leave your employer. Number four is that you are investing in the stock market in a diversified and moderately risky way. Your employer is likely spreading your money across hundreds of stocks and bonds instead of gambling your money on that one stock that your uncle can't shut up about. Number five is that you reduce your tax bill. More of your paycheck stays with you than goes to the IRS. So how do you sign up? Email your HR person.
Okay, let me be clear here. I'm not saying don't have a 401k. Definitely use your 401k if you have one available to you. I simply share that your 401k is not free because you should know that it's not free. But what your overall investment strategy should comprise of is a few things. One, definitely your 401k or what's called a pre-tax investment account. All right. So what that means is that when you get to retirement, the money that you take out of your 401k or IRA, that money is going to be taxable to you. Okay. So that's one piece that you want to have in your investment strategy. The next piece would be having something that is after tax or post-tax investments, all right? So this is like your Roth account or utilizing insurance so that you can build up some after-tax savings, all right? Now, the reason why this is beneficial is because once you get into retirement, you're going to start drawing money from these accounts that you saved into and that have compounded in interest over all of this time, right? And so what you're going to do is you're going to have both of these buckets that you can pull from, okay? You're going to have the 401k money and you're going to have the Roth money, okay?
No, guys, when it comes to a retirement plan, I must say that I do contribute to a retirement plan. I have a 401k and I also have a Roth IRA. No, I get it. I really get it, because I will not sit here and say that it's the best way of retiring. It's the only thing and it's the greatest thing. I will not say that. But what I will say, if you do not have an alternative retirement plan when it comes to what will you invest in when it comes to your later years, then this might be something you want to take a look at. And again, guys, as I said before, I do have a retirement plan and I invest in them because I see where they could be beneficial to me. Now, let's just take a look at some of the stuff that I love about a 401k. It lowers my taxable income, which means if I'm making $80,000, I could put aside $20,000 to be taxed at a later date. I could also roll my 401k into a Roth 401k, which I will no longer be paying taxes on that. So when you look at a 401k, you look at your retirement, you look at your annuity. These are different streams of income, and your social security. These are 4 different streams of income that will be there to help you maintain that lifestyle that you've been creating over the years.
The plan was never supposed to be something that people, middle class America, or people who live paycheck to paycheck take advantage of. Why? Because you need your money now. You don't need to save money on taxes. I've never needed to save money on taxes until I started a business, and opening a 401k was a way for me to pay less taxes to the government. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it. Everyone now has a 401k thinking that it's the best retirement plan there is, when the founder, this guy Ted, regrets that it's become what it is because his initial thought was that the employer would take care of the fees associated with the 401k and the retirement plan. But now the fees are paid for by the employee. Not only the fees, the taxes, the penalties, everything. All of the risk of the plan has been put onto the employee, not the employer. The employer is getting a lot of tax benefits by offering the plan and making sure that all of the employees have a 401k. And it's not really that big of a deal because they need the tax deduction. But if all of the employees are people who need the money, then locking up their money for the next 20, 30, 40 years is not beneficial.
That if you want early financial freedom, investing in a 401k is the worst financial decision you can make. Now hold on, I'm going to defend my position, but first let me provide some context. The majority of people, a 401k is a fine investment. If you want to retire at 65 years old and you are perfectly fine with that, then invest in your 401k up to the company match, normally about 6%, that is perfectly fine. But if you're like me and you want to leave your job within your 20s, 30s, and 40s, then 401k is completely pointless. Because the entire premise of the 401k is that you delay the taxes now to pay them later when you're making less money in retirement. But the way that we're doing it is I'm going to make way more money when I'm retired later. I'm actually going to get taxed at a higher rate. Now, you can do a Roth IRA where you pay all your taxes up front, but still, the investment returns that you make on that money are insignificant in comparison to what you can get through real estate, business, or even starting your own thing. Brian, can't I buy real estate out of my 401k and my IRA? Well, yeah, sure, but the cash flow from that capital has to go back into the individual retirement account, and I want to pay my bills with the cash flow. I don't want to have it go back into my 401k. Long story short, I liquidated about $100,000 in my 401k. I paid the early 10% penalty, which is not financial advice. I don't recommend that for everyone. It was best for me. Took that money cash and I started buying real estate. Went from making 6% of that money to an infinite return through a house hack where I refinanced, got all my money back. If you're looking to hit financial freedom before 65, do not invest in 401k.
I'm really struggling to understand what your beef is with pensions. What exactly is the deal? Because I'm seeing comments about people just shitting on pensions, opting out, talking about how it's throwing money down the drain and all this crap. And I'm just thinking, yeah, what part? The state pension is not going to be enough for you to live on comfortably in retirement, even though it's been increased to account for inflation. So now that it's $11,500 per year, do you really think that's going to be enough to live on in retirement? Do you want to go on any holidays? Do you want to do fun stuff? Or do you want to just meet the bare minimum just to survive? The pensions themselves are tax wrappers, just like the ISA is a tax wrapper and not the investment itself. So in this tax-efficient environment, all the money in the pension pot that's invested grows in a tax-free environment. So no capital gains, no dividend tax, no income tax. And this carries on for how long? And if you think about compounding, your money is growing in this environment and you're not paying tax on it for so many years. The earlier you start, the more you can potentially benefit, right? So you have several decades of growth without paying any tax. And at the end of it, once you hit 55 or 57 from 2028, you can access the pension tax efficiently. You can take out a pension commencement lump sum. Essentially, you can take out 25% tax-free cash up to $268,275, right? That's assuming you have a pension pot that's worth $1,073,100. And then the rest of it, again, you can take out tax efficiently. At that point in retirement, you're probably going to be just a basic rate taxpayer, right? So the most tax you're going to pay on your withdrawals is 20%. After all these years of growth, 20%. Not to even mention that the pensions exist outside of your estate. So eventually, no inheritance tax will be due. Your pension could be passed on to your spouse or your dependents. So I really don't understand all the hate for it. Of course, with tax incentives come restrictions, right? For all that tax-free growth, you can't access the pension up to a certain age. But for me, I think that's a win-win.
So now that we get this one clear about a 401k not being the number one thing that we could have at the end of the rainbow, let's dive into it. I think for the average person, or for the person who just don't want to be an entrepreneur, who just don't want to deal with business, don't want to deal with taxes, don't want to deal with payroll, don't want to deal with an accountant, I figured that this way is definitely the best way. Especially if you don't have the skills necessary to run a successful business. So again, guys, you do have pros and cons when it comes to having a 401k or having a retirement plan, but you have to figure out what's best for you. Maybe you don't even want to get into real estate. Maybe you don't want to be a landlord. Maybe you don't want to deal with property management. You just want to do your 40 hours. You want to take your company match. Also, you just want to put aside something that will lower your taxable income today. And also, you could just look at a 401k as just a big savings for you that will help you when it comes to your retirement. But you know what, guys, let me quickly share something with you, because nobody's talking about this when it comes to a 401k. And listen to me closely. Stick with me. I remember when I was going to buy my first store, and I had the option of using my 401k to do the acquisition. You see, nobody's really telling you that you could definitely use your 401k to buy a business. Let's say you get to 45, 50, and you suddenly decide, listen, you want to be an entrepreneur. All that money that you've been saving over the years with the tax break, you could roll it into a C corporation, and that money will pay for the business. You see, no one is telling you that. No one is telling you that a 401k is not just you wait until you're 65 or whatever retirement age is to acquire this cash. This could also be used to buy a business. Yes, yes, yes. But the reason why I didn't use my 401k to buy a business was because in order to do that, you would definitely have to quit your job. You would have to leave your job. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have my store as an additional income while keep working. So look into that one also. Now hold on, guys. Let's stop for a quick second. I'm going to ask you for a favor. If you've made it this far in the video and you're getting value from this video, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. If you have not yet subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Now, as usual, guys, always remember to communicate with me down below in the comment section. Now, guys, let's get back to the video.
Dear younger self, that's how you want me to start?
Which part? The beginning?
No, read this first and then skip to that.
Dear younger self.
Dear younger self.
Dear younger self.
Make sure you are paid what you're worth.
Save for retirement as much as possible.
Don't cash out all your 401k at once.
I only have about 3 months worth of bill payments in my savings account.
We make very little on Social Security.
I still have to work to pay my bills.
I'm worried that my investments won't last me.
I don't have any retirement funds put away at all. Okay. Are you ready now?
Yep. Dear younger self.
Open up a Roth IRA and learn how to invest.
Don't pile up debt.
I would tell myself to hold on to my investment portfolio.
Save more and give less.
Your home is one of your biggest assets. Protect it.
After I retired, I cashed out my entire 401k, deposited $110,000 for a down payment on the house. I also paid a 45% income tax bill by taking all the money at once.
I opened a Roth IRA when I was 54 finally, and I put $6,000 in it and let it sit there because I didn't know that you were supposed to invest it.
I think if I were to just leave my money alone, not move it around, then it would be worth a lot more today.
Financial advisor explained to me that I had to invest it, and I did, and now it's over $41,000.
I would definitely advise younger people to put a maximum amount in their 401k or IRA match because that money grows over time.
Just imagine if I had knew how to do that and when I was 25 instead of 55, it would be quite a bit more.
It's way better if you plan something way ahead of time than wait till the end like we have.
A Walk with Rosie and Logan is a rare break for Marianne O'Connor.
The puppies.
Then she's back on her laptop, juggling 2 jobs. Sometimes up to 11 hours a day.
What did you think you'd be doing at 66? Oh, I would hope to be retired. And what are you doing at 66? I'm working my butt off.
No savings, no 401k, not even enough to cover an emergency. She sold her home, and with 2 other women, bought a smaller one, living together to save money.
How has that been? Well, it's been a matter of life and death.
Roughly half of all Americans ages 55 to 66 have nothing saved for retirement.
Spicy.
O'Connor knew she'd be in that group, adopting and raising 3 children as a single mom.
I have a live for now philosophy, I guess.
How's that serving you now?
Oh, it's horrible.
For her and others without a nest egg, experts say it's not too late to make a plan. Continue to work, lower your cost of living, save what you can, delay Social Security benefits until 70 to get the largest monthly check possible, and avoid risky investments to make up for lost time.
What would you say to younger women?
I guess I would now say that they need to start planning as early as they can.
Financial challenges for many, tarnishing the golden years of retirement.
This is certainly not part of Larry Gessick's retirement plan. The 77-year-old electrician by trade leaves at 5:30 a.m. and heads for his part-time job unloading trailers at a local supermarket in St. Petersburg, Florida, for $14.75 an hour. His wife, Joyce, 66, prepares for her workday, making $14 an hour as a full-time legal administrator.
It's not really a retirement.
What is it?
It's working every day.
The Gessicks came out of retirement not because they wanted to, but because they had to, and are among the 11 million Americans, 1 in 5 over 65, who are still working.
It's hard. 77, still busting my butt.
So I call it the work, retire, repeat syndrome.
Labor economist Teresa Ghilarducci says work is the new retirement.
More than half of the people who are retired right now do not have enough money to be retired.
Who's to blame for all of this?
I blame policymakers who experimented with our retirement system 40 years ago, and they are not saying the experiment failed.
That experiment is what we know today as the 401k, named after part of a 1978 law that offered companies an alternative to the traditional pension plan.
The thought was that Americans just need a little bit of financial literacy and they can just save on their own.
But in fact, many of today's older workers were never taught enough about saving and investing for retirement.
I grew up on a farm. Nobody there instructed any of us to put money aside and make your own way later on down the road.
And there you have it, guys. The choice is really yours. The pros and the cons to having a retirement plan. Now, a retirement plan will not necessarily work for everyone. And I will not say that a retirement plan is the best way possible to retire. No, if you've not yet necessarily figured out how to retire without a retirement plan, guys, I will definitely say you need to take a look at contributing to a retirement plan. Now, once again, guys, we have come to the end of another great video. Now, if you found value in this one, please go ahead, like, subscribe, and share. Or better yet, if you know someone that might find value in this video, please go ahead and share. But you know you can't get all the information from this one video, so please go ahead and click on this one right here. And now you'll have access to the financial market, the financial news, current affairs, and definitely my journey towards financial freedom. Now, as usual, guys, be safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.